You're welcome back. It's just about 25 minutes past the hour of 10. And if you've just joined us, you're watching Business Morning coming to you live from Channels Television, broadcasting from Lagos, Nigeria. And with me in the studio is Dr. Chris Onalo. He is the CEO at the Institute of Credit Administration of Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning.
And
thank
you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much
For coming on the program.
Yeah.
I want to take you from this point right now, and it has to do with creditworthiness of business owners in Nigeria. And when we're looking at the attitude of business owners towards credit facilities, how has it been?
Well, thanks. In Nigeria, the attitude people show towards credit line that they're trying to get from banks or trade organization is not as it should be. Most time, especially when you look at bank credit deal with their customers, there is that notion that you take money and you have to be persuaded before you come back to pay back the money, which is against tenet of credit economy anywhere in the world. So it has not been quite encouraging, despite that a lot of people, and I'm one of them, still believe that there isn't much money for people, especially the banking sector, to lend to businesses. But then we have not been able to come to terms in terms of attitude that people display towards credit. It's not been quite encouraging.
What kind of attitude in specific terms?
In specific terms, people regard credit, as I said before, as something that when you take, you don't have to pay back, especially financial credit. And that has not been very helpful. People should know that before you consider borrowing from bank, for example, there are requirements that you must meet. And there must be, since it's an obligation, you must say to yourself that I can't afford to let down my name. That kind of national consciousness is not very, prominent in the way we think about going to bank to ask for funds to be able to finance business. And is really a cog in the wheel of progress. Yeah.
Okay, credit deals with trusts and confidence, which leads to credit worthiness. How do you assess the integrity question of business that seek the line of credit?
Well, trust and confidence are the omnipotent words when it comes to relying on someone's promise to discharge obligation. Trust must be in place, first and foremost. And that trust is amplified by evidences that you produced, and which, of course, in turn lead to determining whether you are creditworthy or you are not creditworthy. By that, we are pointing at how you govern your business, what state is your business house is. Can we see audited account there? Is your business running in such a way that you recognize to document everything that has to do with that business transactions, and so that if tomorrow comes and you have need to go to ask for credit line, you should be able to determine within yourself whether your business is properly run or governed in such a way that what you are going to the bank to ask for will be given to you. Fundamentally speaking, what we noted as a major constraint that do not allow banks to give out credit so much or recovering credit as quickly as they want to have is the absence of that consciousness of not putting in place what the lenders want. I take a look at, let me take a look rather at the small and medium enterprises, not multinational or conglomerate, because the SMEs are the people that always ask for credit, and most times they are not given, and given their very critical position as the wheel that drives the economy. Hardly you could see an SME whose business account record is up to date and who runs business completely detaching him or herself from that business in terms of incessant incursion into the finances of the business. So if that mentality persists, it's capable of decreasing the lender's appetite for credit that should be given to businesses generally. So that culture needs to be recognized and adopted, that business must be, let alone to flourish and to grow like a little baby, born, day one and day two comes, day three comes, four, and leading to weeks, months, and years. And that child grows. That is how businesses grow as well. You must recognize element that propels the growth of that business, and you must endeavor to keep them in place. Not only the accounting, because that helps to determine the financial health of an organization, you also look at who are the management behind the organization and how stable has this management been over time. And that is key. And then you want to look at the directors. Who are they? What is their impeccable record over time? Can they be trusted? Can they be relied upon? If they sign a deal with me, can I have the confidence that they will do everything possible to manage their day-to-day businesses in recognition of that obligation, so that when the time to discharge that obligation comes, nobody comes around to tell you stories. So credit is really built around trust and confidence. But again, as I said before, trust is not on its own in place. It has to come from the evidences you can produce. And those evidences typified the foundation that every business is laid. So if you are running your business and you are in the habit of writing out checks for donation, writing out checks for charitable engagement, trust donation, and what have you, I don't want to mention the one that we've been talking about in the time past, that people like to marry too many wives, but I think that's not the issue now. But the issue, again, in place of a wife is getting the latest cars, and yet business is in its little stage, requiring to be developed with a view to becoming conglomerate and eventually multinational is possible. So, but people don't seem to have that culture. And that is why I do not agree when people say banks are indifferent in giving credit to business owners. Banks are not indifferent, and even if banks are indifferent, you could also discover that they have huge reason for being skeptical to lend to certain business owners, particularly entrepreneurs. So credit culture has to be in place, and I think that is what informed this discussion. Business credit has to be in place in order to develop the economy, in order to move the economy very fast. But then the people themselves must tune their mind toward a system that enables them to expand business, to grow business, to employ more people, to create more wealth. And that is to say, business is different from your person. The moment you are an entrepreneur and you own that business among other directors, you should allow it to grow.
And in other words, are you saying that small businesses, like you've rightly mentioned, run the risk of not getting credit facilities from banks owing to some of the reasons that you've mentioned, like the lack of up-to-date records?
Absolutely. It's not just up-to-date record not in place. That can be in place because I recall some years back when I had to intervene in a credit issue between a bank and a customer. And I discovered that there is much more to the record that the customer generated. And if the record was generated primarily to meet the needs of the lender, then that negates the whole essence. The essence that we are trying to bring to the fore is that there should be a conscious mentality on the part of the business owners to manage business in full recognition of the fact that the business is an entity and it requires full accountability. That is to say, a conscious record, a fundamental record that shows this business is doing well or is not doing well. So conscious record, accounting record, is the type that yesterday transaction, yesterday business decision, yesterday business growth, whatever I did yesterday, have I captured it in the accounting record to show that the company has its activities yesterday, conducted yesterday, well represented? And then I can set up for today. So that culture, and if it is in place, it will not be when you are coming up to ask for a credit line that you call somebody to hurriedly prepare something for you so that you can give it to the lender and getting what you want. So deliberately, there has to be a prevalence of accounting record that must be kept. Proper accounting record, legitimate accounting record, transparent accounting record, that when you are giving out at the point that a particular need has arose, such as credit as we talk, that you can now confidently give it out. And with that confidence, with that culture, and the mode of your giving out without giving a sign to your auditor to do it to tailor-made to the transaction, ensures that we are running a system that recognizes business is in its traditional sense, that you have to account for it. And because of that, the credit analyst sees that there is a possibility that this business will grow. There is a possibility that this business will become, though small today, could become called gourmet